Malawi today.
Of the honorable member. Speaker, I suggest we must buy some breathalyzers. Some members are coming drunk in this house. You can see from the behavior. You have made a ruling, the honorable member is still making noise. Look at what he's doing. He's challenging you, the chair. You have the power. Can you act? Show us. Thank you, Chair.
Aphungu ku nyumba ya malamulo anali odabwa maka ataona phungu ochokera ku dera lija lalikuni mu mzinda wa Lilongwe maka akupanga zinthu zosokoneza mu nyumba ya malamulo. Takhani pomwepo kuti muthe kuona momwe phungu ameneyo amapangira zinthu zake zomwe zinadabwitsa aphungu anzake. Koma ngati mwangotipeza kumene inotu ndi Malawi Lero, tapangani subscribe komanso like kuti update ina iliyonse isamakuphonyeni mnthawi yake. Ku nyumba ya malamulo zinthu zinalitu motere maola angapo apitawa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. Permission that I present from this seat, because there are quite a number of bills, so to save time, I don't know if that's allowed.
Yeah, Chairperson, you can indeed use your seat and your gadget to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. It is with great honor and privilege that I rise this morning to present to this August House the report of the Joint Parliamentary Committees of Legal Affairs and Budget upon considering and scrutinizing Bill number 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment. The report before this House is the outcome of the Joint Committee's careful examination of the proposed amendments to the Banking Act, Chapter 4401, following extensive engagements with the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization and the Reserve Bank of Malawi. The committee's deliberations were guided by the need to ensure that the proposed legislation adequately strengthens Malawi's banking regulatory framework while safeguarding the interests of depositors, shareholders, financial institutions, and the economy at large. And on behalf of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs and Budget, Deputy Speaker, allow me to sincerely thank you for according me this opportunity to present the committee's report. I also wish to extend the committee's profound appreciation to the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament for facilitating the joint committee's work and to acknowledge the invariable cooperation rendered by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, their officials, and the Reserve Bank of Malawi, whose technical presentations greatly assisted the committees in appreciating the policy rationale and legal implications of the proposed amendments. The committee is equally grateful to the Office of the Clerk of Parliament and the Secretariat for the legal, procedural research and administrative support that enabled the committee to effectively discharge its legislative mandate. Background to Bill number 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, the banking sector plays a pivotal role facilitating investment and safeguarding public confidence in the financial system. A sound and resilient banking sector is indispensable to national development because it provides the foundation upon which business operates, investments are mobilized, and citizens securely save their hard-earned resources. It is therefore imperative that the country's legal and regulatory framework evolves in tandem with emerging financial risks and international best practices. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the committee learned that Bill 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment, seeks to amend the Banking Act in order to strengthen the legal framework governing banking supervision, early intervention, bank resolution, and liquidation. The proposed amendments are intended to modernize Malawi's banking laws by equipping the registrar of financial institutions with enhanced supervisory and intervention powers that can be exercised before financially distressed institutions deteriorate into insolvency. The committee was informed that the existing Banking Act does not adequately provide for modern banking resolution mechanisms capable of addressing emerging risks in the financial sector, thereby exposing depositors' funds and financial stability to unnecessary risks whenever banking institutions encounter financial distress. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee further learned that the bill seeks to align Malawi's banking legislation with internationally recognized standards governing bank resolution and financial sector resilience. In this regard, the bill introduces a comprehensive legal framework that provides for mandatory recapitalization of distressed banks, purchase and assumption transactions, bridge banks, asset management companies, bail-in arrangements, strengthened ownership requirements, and improved liquidation procedures. Collectively, these reforms are intended to strengthen depositor protection, preserve financial stability, and enhance public confidence in Malawi's banking sector. The committee's methodology. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, in discharging its legislative responsibility, the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs and Budget adopted a systematic approach in scrutinizing the proposed bill. The committee first received comprehensive policy briefings from the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, together with technical officials from the Reserve Bank of Malawi. These engagements enabled members to appreciate the policy objectives underlying the proposed amendments, the shortcomings in the existing legal framework, and the need to introduce internationally recognized bank resolution mechanisms capable of responding promptly to financial distress within the banking sector. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, following these policy presentations, the committee undertook a detailed clause-by-clause scrutiny of the bill, and during this exercise, every proposed amendment was examined against the provisions of the Principal Act with particular attention to its legal, regulatory, and policy implications. The committee further assessed whether the proposed amendments were consistent with international banking standards and whether they would effectively strengthen financial stability, depositor protection, corporate governance, and supervision of banking institutions in Malawi. This rigorous scrutiny enabled the committee to fully appreciate the significance of the proposed reforms before arriving at its observations and recommendations. Purpose of the bill. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the committee was informed that the principal objective of Bill 9 of 2026 is to modernize the Banking Act by strengthening the legal framework governing banking supervision, early intervention, bank resolution, and liquidation. The bill seeks to enhance the powers of the registrar of financial institutions so that regulatory authorities are able to respond promptly whenever banking institutions begin experiencing financial distress. And in doing so, the bill seeks to safeguard depositors' funds, preserve financial stability, and promote sustained public confidence in the banking sector. And Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the committee further learned that the proposed amendments seek to move Malawi's banking regulatory framework away from the traditional reactive approach, where intervention ordinarily occurs after banking institutions or a banking institution has entered severe financial difficulty, towards a proactive regulatory system that enables intervention before financial distress becomes irreversible. Your committee, therefore, was persuaded that this shift represents a significant policy reform because early intervention minimizes the risk of bank failures, whilst reducing the potential financial burden that such failures may impose on depositors, investors, and the economy as a whole. Salient provisions of the bill. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me now to highlight some of the key provisions contained in the proposed legislation. The committee noted that clause number 2 amends the interpretation section of the Principal Act by introducing new definitions and updating existing terminology to accommodate the new bank resolution mechanisms established under this bill. The committee observed that these amendments are essential for promoting legal clarity and ensuring consistency throughout legislation. Deputy Speaker, clause number 3 amends provisions relating to the administration of the Act and strengthens the regulatory powers of the Registrar of Financial Institutions. And your committee noted that these amendments expand the supervisory mandate of the Registrar and align the administration of the Act with a broader bank resolution framework introduced in the bill. And similarly, clause number 4 replaces existing provisions governing ownership and licensing requirements by strengthening beneficial ownership disclosure and enhancing transparency in the ownership structure of banking institutions. The committee believes that these reforms will improve corporate governance and strengthen regulatory oversight within the banking sector. And Deputy Speaker, the committee further noted that clause number 5 inserts new sections, section 6A to section 6C, to regulate ownership control, acquisition of shares, and disclosure obligations relating to the banking institutions. And these provisions are intended to ensure that persons exercising control over banks satisfy prescribed regulatory requirements whilst maintaining transparent ownership structures that are subject to effective regulatory oversight. The committee further noted that clause 6 repeals obsolete provisions of the Principal Act in order to facilitate the implementation of the modern regulatory framework established under this bill. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee also observed that clause 7 to 15 introduced various amendments relating to licensing, prudential regulation, supervisory powers, corporate governance, enforcement measures, and administrative procedures. Collectively, these provisions strengthen the supervisory authority of the Registrar of Financial Institutions by enabling earlier regulatory intervention before banking institutions experience severe financial distress. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, perhaps the most significant reforms contained in the bill are found under clause 16, which inserts new sections 27A to 27H, establishing a comprehensive bank resolution framework. The committee learned that these provisions empower the registrar to require mandatory recapitalization of distressed banks, facilitate purchase and assumption transactions, establish bridge banks, authorize the creation of asset management companies, and implement bail-in arrangements where necessary. And these internationally recognized mechanisms are designed to preserve essential banking services, protect depositors, minimize systematic risks, and reduce reliance on taxpayer-funded bailouts whenever banking institutions encounter financial distress. Deputy Speaker, the committee further observed that clauses 17 to 24 strengthened the statutory management and banking resolution framework by expanding the intervention powers available to the registrar before the banking institution is placed under statutory management. And the committee also noted that clauses 25 to 31 repeal outdated provisions and harmonize the Banking Act with the new regulatory architecture, whilst clause number 32 introduces a new section 51A, conferring additional regulatory powers necessary to fully implement the revised banking resolution framework. The committee's observations. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, having carefully scrutinized Bill number 9 of 2026, your committee was satisfied that the proposed amendments represent a significant step towards strengthening the resilience and stability of the Malawi banking sector. The committee welcomed the proposed reforms, observing that they considerably strengthen the country's legal framework for responding to financial distress within banking institutions. By introducing modern bank resolution mechanisms and expanding the supervisory powers of the Registrar of Financial Institutions, the bill will enable regulatory authorities to intervene at an earlier stage before financial difficulties escalate into full-scale banking crisis. Deputy Speaker, sir, this proactive approach will significantly minimize the risk of bank failures, preserve public confidence in our banking sector, and contribute to overall macroeconomic stability. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, one of the most commendable aspects of this bill is its deliberate focus on protecting depositors. The committee noted with satisfaction that introduction of mechanisms such as purchase and assumption transactions, bridge banks, and mandatory recapitalization reflects a shift from merely rescuing distressed financial institutions to safeguarding the interests of ordinary Malawians whose savings are entrusted to the banks. Your committee firmly believes that confidence in the banking sector depends largely on the assurance that depositors' funds remain protected even during periods of financial distress. And consequently, these reforms will greatly strengthen public confidence whilst ensuring scrutiny of essential banking services whenever financial institutions encounter operational challenges. And Deputy Speaker, whilst your committee fully supports the expansion of the powers of the Registrar of Financial Institutions, it equally emphasizes that these powers must always be exercised responsibly, transparently, and within the confines of our laws. Honorable members who appreciate that the authority to intervene in banking institutions before insolvency is both necessary and significant. However, such authority should never be exercised arbitrarily. Your committee therefore underscores the importance of accountability, administrative fairness, and sound governance in implementing the proposed reforms. It is only through transparent regulatory processes that public confidence in our banking sector can be maintained. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the committee further observed that although the bill empowers the registrar to facilitate mergers, acquisitions, and transfer of assets and liabilities without prior shareholder approval where circumstances demand urgent intervention, it remains imperative that shareholders' legitimate interests are protected. The committee appreciates that financial stability must take precedence during banking crises. Nevertheless, regulatory interventions should always be proportionate, fair, and undertaken in accordance with established legal principles. This delicate balance between financial stability and protection of privilege rights is critical to maintaining investor confidence in Malawi's banking industry. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, your committee also observed that the successful implementation of the proposed reforms will not depend solely upon the enactment of this bill. The committee noted that several of the new mechanisms introduced under this bill, including the bridge banks, asset management companies, and bail-in arrangements, are highly technical in nature and will require detailed subsidiary legislation, operational guidelines, and enhanced institutional capacity within the RBM, and without such implementation frameworks, the intended objectives of the reforms may not be fully realized. It is therefore imperative that the relevant institutions invest in technical capacity building and develop comprehensive implementation procedures immediately after the enactment of this legislation. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the committee further considered concerns relating to financial inclusion and consumer protection. During its deliberations, concerns were raised regarding the stringent requirements for opening bank accounts, as well as increasing incidences of fraud associated with electronic banking and mobile financial services. Although these matters extend beyond the immediate scope of this bill, your committee considers them to be fundamental to the broader objective of building an inclusive, secure, and resilient financial system. As digital financial services continue to expand, government and the Reserve Bank of Malawi must remain vigilant in strengthening consumer protection while simultaneously promoting wider access to formal banking services across the country. Your committee's recommendations. Mr. Speaker, sir, having carefully considered the evidence presented before it, your committee made the following recommendations. Firstly, the committee recommends that the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, working in conjunction with the RBM, should develop comprehensive regulations, operational guidelines, and implementation procedures to facilitate the effective implementation of the new bank resolution mechanisms. Particular attention should be devoted to the operationalization of bridge banks, purchase and assumption transactions, bail-in arrangements, asset management companies, and mandatory recapitalization so as to ensure transparency, consistency, and most importantly, legal certainty throughout the implementation process. Secondly, Deputy Speaker, the committee recommends that the Reserve Bank of Malawi should strengthen its institutional and technical capacity to effectively implement the enhanced supervisory and intervention powers conferred under the proposed amendments. This should include continuous training of regulatory personnel, strengthening supervisory systems, and developing the operational capacity required to respond promptly whenever banking institutions experience financial distress. Thirdly, your committee recommends that the Reserve Bank of Malawi should ensure that adequate safeguards are maintained to protect both the depositors and shareholders whenever the enhanced powers provided under the amended Act are exercised. While safeguarding financial stability remains paramount, the committee believes that shareholders should continue to be treated fairly and transparently, particularly in matters involving mandatory recapitalization, mergers and acquisitions, and other bank resolution measures. Fourthly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, your committee recommends that the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank of Malawi undertake an extensive stakeholder engagement and nationwide public awareness programs to enhance understanding of the new bank resolution framework. Such programs should target banking institutions, investors, shareholders, and the general public so that all stakeholders appreciate the objectives of the reforms and develop confidence in our banking regulatory framework. And finally, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, your committee recommends that the Reserve Bank of Malawi should continue promoting financial inclusion by encouraging banking institutions to simplify access to banking services, while strengthening measures aimed at protecting consumers against fraud associated with electronic and digital financial services. The committee firmly believes that expanding access to safe and secure banking services will complement the objective of the proposed amendments and further enhance public confidence in the country's financial sector. Concluding remarks. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as I conclude, allow me to reiterate that your committee is fully satisfied that Bill 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment, represents a significant milestone in strengthening Malawi's banking regulatory framework. The proposed amendments modernize the legal regime governing bank supervision, early intervention, bank resolution, and liquidation by introducing internationally recognized mechanisms designed to preserve financial stability, protect depositors, and enhance confidence in the banking sector. Your committee is convinced that once enacted and effectively implemented, these reforms will contribute significantly to building a stronger, safer, and more resilient banking system capable of supporting Malawi's long-term economic development. Deputy Speaker, let me also express the Joint Committee's sincere appreciation to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament for his continued support to parliamentary committees. The committee further extends its gratitude to the Honourable Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, the Reserve Bank of Malawi, all officials who appeared before the committee, The Office of the Clerk of Parliament, together with the Secretariat for the legal, technical, procedural, and administrative support rendered throughout the committee's deliberations, their dedication and professionalism greatly contributed to the successful execution of the committee's work. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, with these very few remarks, and being fully satisfied that the proposed amendments will strengthen the legal and institutional framework governing Malawi's banking sector while safeguarding financial stability, protecting depositors, and enhancing public confidence in the financial system, I respectfully urge this Honourable House to adopt the report of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs and the Budget and to pass Bill number 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment. Right Honourable Deputy Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairperson, for those words. Honour members, let me intervene. Honour member for Lilongwe Likuni, order. Honour member, I will not tolerate this type of behavior when I'm presiding. I would like to give you a last warning. If you continue, I will act on your conduct. Please, behave like a member of parliament and please present, if you have issues, rise to the dialogue table and present those issues so Malawians can hear you. I therefore rule, honour member. And honour members to my right, that are fighting with this honour member, you will take an early break. I would like to warn the House, it's a serious House this morning, and I'm very serious on this. Lilongwe Likuni, can they whip that side, or anyone in the independent benches, please talk to Lilongwe Likuni before I act. Honour members, chairpersons of committees, we have so many bills today. Can I advise that we stick to the 15 minutes, not the 22 minutes that we have allocated you? And for the seconder, I will be strict on the 5 minutes allocated. May I request the seconder to this report? May I request the seconder to the report? Honour member for Blantyre Site Chiromoni constituency for secondment. Member, are you raising on a point of order or you want?
Yes, on point of order.
Yeah, please, you have the floor.
There's still no order on the behavior of the honourable member. Speaker, I suggest we must buy some breathalyzers. Some members are coming drunk in this house. You can see from the behavior. You have made a ruling, the honourable member is still making noise. Look at what he's doing. He's challenging you, the chair. You have the power. Can you act? Show us. Thank you, Chair.
Honour members, I will keep my observation on the honour member while I recognize a seconder on the report by the chairperson. Seconder, honour member for Lilongwe, the landlord, Lilongwe City Center constituency. We seem to be having a very calm landlord. We are very happy for you, sir. We used to have a landlord that was known by everyone. Landlord, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Second Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity to second the report of the Joint Committee of the Parliamentary Committees on Legal Affairs and Budget. Indeed, I rise to second the report of the said committees upon consideration and scrutinizing of Bill number 9 of 2026, the Banking Amendment Bill, which has been ably presented by the co-chairperson of the committee. The report before this House is a product of careful scrutiny and extensive deliberations undertaken by Joint Committee in consultation with the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, as well as the Reserve Bank of Malawi. Mr. Second Deputy Speaker, sir, the chairperson has already explained how the committee carefully examined the proposed amendments with the objective of determining whether they adequately strengthen Malawi's legal framework as far as governing the banking supervision, early intervention, and bank resolution is concerned. The committee was satisfied that the proposed reforms represent an important step towards building a stronger, more resilient, more stable financial sector capable of responding effectively to emerging risks. Mr. Second Deputy Speaker, sir, without repeating what has already been ably presented by the co-chairperson, allow me to highlight a few additional observations which convinced the committees that this bill deserves the support of this Honorable House. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, your committee observed that one of the greatest strengths of the bill is its shift from a reactive regulatory framework to a proactive one. Under the current legal framework, intervention only occurs after a banking institution has already faced severe financial distress. The proposed amendments empower the Registrar of Financial Institutions to intervene at an earlier stage, thereby preventing situations from deteriorating into full-scale banking crises. The committee considered this to be a progressive reform that will enhance confidence in the country's financial system while protecting the economy from unnecessary disruptions. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee was equally impressed by the deliberate emphasis placed on protecting depositors. Honorable members will appreciate that whenever a bank experiences financial difficulties, it is ordinary citizens and businesses who often bear the greatest uncertainty regarding the safety of their savings. The introduction of mechanisms such as bridge banks, purchase and assumption transactions, and mandatory recapitalization demonstrates government's commitment to safeguarding depositors while ensuring continuity of essential banking services. Your committee firmly believes that these measures will significantly strengthen public confidence in the banking sector. The committee also welcomes the enhanced powers being conferred upon the Registrar of Financial Institutions. It equally wishes to confirm these powers and adds that they must always be exercised in a transparent, objective, and accountable manner. The committee was of the considered view that strong regulatory powers must be accompanied by equally strong principles of good governance, administrative fairness, and accountability if public confidence in the financial system is to be maintained. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee further observed that although the bill introduces internationally recognized bank resolution mechanisms, their successful implementation will depend largely upon adequate institutional preparedness. Mechanisms such as bridge banks, asset management companies, and bail-in arrangements require highly specialized technical expertise. The committee therefore believes that continuous capacity building within the Reserve Bank of Malawi, coupled with detailed operational guidelines, will be essential for the effective implementation of these reforms. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, another matter that attracted the committee's attention relates to financial inclusion and consumer protection. As Malawi increasingly embraces digital financial services,
consider winding up.
Cases of electronic fraud continue to pose challenges to consumers. The committee therefore encourages the Reserve Bank of Malawi and banking institutions to strengthen consumer protection measures while simultaneously promoting wide access to secure banking services. Recommendations. In light of these observations, the committee recommends that the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank of Malawi should prioritize the development of comprehensive implementation regulations and operational guidelines immediately after the enactment of the bill to ensure that the newly introduced bank resolutions are implemented consistently, transparently, and in accordance with global standards. The committee further recommends that the Reserve Bank of Malawi should consider strengthening its institutional and technical capacity to effectively discharge the expanded supervisory responsibilities provided under the amended Act. Equally important is the need to ensure that depositors remain adequately protected while shareholders are treated fairly whenever regulatory interventions become necessary. The committee recommends that government and Reserve Bank of Malawi should undertake sustained public awareness programs to help banking institutions, investors, shareholders, and members of the general public understand the objectives and practical implications of the new bank resolution framework. Such stakeholder engagement will be essential in promoting confidence and ensuring the smooth implementation of the proposed reforms. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, having carefully considered the evidence presented before the committee and the significance of the proposed amendments, I am fully persuaded that Bill number 9 of 2026, Banking Amendment, will strengthen Malawi's banking regulatory framework, enhance financial stability, safeguard depositors, and contribute to a more resilient financial sector. I therefore urge the honourable members to support both the report of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs and Budget and pass the bill. With these few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to second.
Thank you. I will recognize one member to debate on the report. Honourable member for Mzimba South to debate on the committee's report.
Thank you so much, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, for giving the people of Mzimba South to debate and make some 2 to 3 inputs that I wanted to give. Firstly, let me thank the Minister of Finance for bringing this bill and for the comprehensive scrutiny that was done by the Committee for Legal Affairs and also the Committee of Budget. My small 2 to 3 observations are as follows. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, if you look at the Executive Order number 2 for 2026 in March, the President made it clear that all the public places, workplaces have to ensure they have got good sanitation, hygiene, and waste disposals. I wanted to find out if we really, this banking bill, last time I had taken up with the Minister of Health to ensure that our banks are public places. We keep people there, but they don't have sanitation facilities. Why is this bill not having that sanitation to make it mandatory so that at least people cannot be asking but can be seeing that the sanitation facilities are available? Secondly, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, if you look at section 6A, 6B, and 6C, it talks about the fit and proper assessment being a requirement that it should be done as a continuous process. Immediately you introduce such kind of facility to the shareholders, I thought it was proper that specific intervals, specific period, let's say 2 months or 6 months after the bank, after the shareholders have been incorporated, they need to know that at least the Reserve Bank will come and reassess them, whether they're still more fit, their creditworthiness to be the shareholders of the companies. So I thought maybe a time interval will be given to this bill so that that should be incorporated. The final observation that I had is the issue of unclaimed funds. Here we are, Mr. First Deputy Speaker. I worked for a company some time ago, and I was contributing my pension. And it was a private company. And then these unclaimed funds stays there at the specific bank for some time. And then later on, we are saying we should expose these private funds that I earned to Government Act, which is the Public Finance Management Act. This is the same observation which my colleague from who represented MCP made also. I don't think it can be correct that we should be exposing the money that you have earned privately, you worked it privately, and then later on you're exposing it to the regulations that are followed by the Public Finance Management Act. I thought maybe the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank would clearly look at this and also make the proposals that have been made by Malawi Congress Party. With these few remarks, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, those were my three observations that I've made, but people of Mzimba South support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Leader.
Mr. First Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that debate on the bill be curtailed in order for the Minister of Finance to wind up. I beg to move.
Leader, the report, we are closing the report. Not necessarily the committee report that was presented, ably seconded, and debated by Mzimba South is the one we are curtailing right now. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much with the guidance, First Deputy Speaker. And therefore, I beg to move that debate on the report be curtailed in order for the chairperson of the committee to wind up. I beg to move.
Members, we have a motion on the floor. The motion is to curtail debate on the report by the Joint Committee of Legal Affairs and Budget for the chairperson to wind up. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Chair, to wind up.
Thank you, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. Allow me to thank Mzimba South for the observations that he has made. They are very pertinent, and I would want to agree with him that the issue of sanitation in the banking halls need to be looked at seriously. They don't have to be inside the banking halls, but at least people should be given the sanitation facilities, even outside the banking halls. Section 6A, B, C, fit and proper. Let me also say that this issue was discussed at the committee's deliberations, and fit and proper is not a new thing in the banking sector. It already happens even before this bill. And most of the banks are taking the approach which is risk-based. So instead of traditionally having a routine or like quarterly or monthly or biannually, they scan the environment and identify where risk is higher. And most of fit and proper tests are guided by the risk assessment, mostly by the registrar of the financial services. So I would say that others would have more and others might have less, depending on the assessment of the risk exposure. And lastly, on the issue of unclaimed funds, again, this issue was discussed at length, And what I would really say is that the money that is deemed or defined as unclaimed is money that doesn't have an owner. So it could be a private investment, it could be in the public investment, but as long as those monies, insurance or otherwise, or pensions or anything, as long as they do not have an identified owner, then that one is defined as unclaimed. So you will not have unclaimed money when you know who that money belongs to. It is that money which is unclaimed that is now being dealt with using the Public Finance Management Act of 2022, and I know we'll be discussing this a little bit more in the subsequent amendments, but I wanted to just make it clear that this is not money with an identified owner. This is money that has no identified owner. Having said that, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me to beg that the report be now adopted by the House. I beg to move.
Thank you. Honourable members, I therefore put the question that the report of the Joint Committee of Legal Affairs and Budget Committee pertaining to Bill number 9 of 2026, Banking Amendment, be adopted by this House. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it, and the report has been adopted. Honourable members, it is 11:09. When we come back from here for break, I will recognize one contributor on the bill for debate, and then the processes of the bill will continue. It's 11:10. I therefore suspend proceedings for a half a break. The House resumes sitting at 11:40 a.m. House suspended.
Malawi Today.